allowing us to come and visit with you guys, talk a little bit about our program. So we're Unified Fleet Services. We are a vehicle leasing, procurement and management company. We only work with municipalities, so all we do is government work. We don't do any commercial or consumer work. We just work with municipalities. It's a little bit different way of doing business, and trying to serve a bunch of different types of business doesn't really work for us. So we only focus on municipalities, and again on equipment. Anything with tires or treads we work with. So we work with municipalities. The key obstacles that we see is a lot on obsolescence. We're kind of briefly talking a bit about that. When you have older vehicles that sit for a while, we help out in that space. Budget constraints is the other area. Rather than paying cash and the full price of the vehicle, using leasing can help with budgets. And then we also help with optimizing getting the right vehicle or the right equipment for the job that your team has.
You haven't brought any BMW up to us.
Well, you haven't asked for one. we priced one X5 for a drug task force in Denver, and after they understood how fast those things depreciate, no one's ever asked again. So,
oh, really?
Yeah, they just don't hold the value. The funny piece being, it would never make sense. But if you wanted a Porsche 911, those actually lease really well. So, might give the wrong image to the citizens though. But anyway. So we do equipment leasing, fleet management, and then we integrate upfit. And so for a lot of law enforcement stuff, that's lights, cages, all that. We also do the flatbeds, service bodies, anything that public works or others may need. So one of the key things we like to recap, most people are aware of this, but we just like to reset where we're at now. We all have been through what's been going on the last 2 years with inflation and supply chain. Everyone was hit hard, but no one was hit harder than municipalities when it comes to your vehicles. So as you see, 21 Lariat to 23 F-150 Lariat, MSRP went up 14%. But the big kicker was your guys' government discount dropped by 61%. So the net effect to the government was a 30% increase in your cost of vehicles on an F-150 in this example. Consumers got hit hard, but nowhere near this hard. And so as a result, just buying a vehicle, it's gone up. Leasing a vehicle, it's all gone up as a result. One of the bigger issues that we've seen is really the supply chain side. We just did a bunch of orders for Chevy Tahoes. The rounded up numbers for the Western region, there were 10,000 government orders and 2,400 were actually approved and allocated. So that's how difficult the supply chain is. So if you don't have an order in, you're not getting one. And if you did have an order in, you'll maybe get one. And so that's part of what we've been helping clients with, is putting in the orders early to just guarantee our spot at getting the type of unit that you want. It's not every unit. F-150s are easier to come by, but if you need Tahoes or you need diesels, it's hard to get. The other piece that's been a major difficulty has been the upfit timeline. So when people are trying to schedule to get lights and sirens installed, those delays are sometimes out 6 months to try and get anything at all. So that's the new world. It's getting better. We believe it's going to get a lot better. But what we like to provide to clients is flexible certainty on our lease program. So what we do, we have a 5-year lease. The first 3 years are deeply discounted to try and just cover the depreciation that's going to happen on that vehicle over those first 3 years. The other reason we use it is because it's always under warranty, and so any issues that you have, your maintenance budgets can be slashed quite a bit because you're going to have all that covered under the OEM warranty for those 3 years. Really all you're covering is maybe some tires, but oil changes, that's about it. If you have somebody within the county that does that sort of service, happy to have them do it. You don't need to go anywhere else for that. Some of the biggest results that we see for our clients, fuel efficiency has been a real big item, depending on the units that we move to. We are pushing some of the clients towards hybrid F-150s. It can be really great. In law enforcement, for instance, when there's a lot of engine idle hours, the new hybrids, you can just sit in your truck for an hour and the engine only kicks on for about 10 to 15 minutes to recharge the battery. So you leave the heat on, the cooling on, whatever you need, but you're only running the engine about 10 minutes to keep it recharged. So it saves a lot on fuel efficiency and wear and tear on the engine. But the real goal is we're trying to really get that depreciation, get rid of the depreciation. We're usually able to get about 75% of it. On diesel, sometimes we can make it so at the end of the 3 years, you end up getting back almost everything you've already paid us at lease rates, just because of how those have been holding, so. Hi.
You can come in.
So we lease anything, it really doesn't matter. We will do the BMW if that's what you want, Sam, just let us know. We'll run the numbers. That's all we do is we're math. So we look at what the cost of the vehicle is, what it's gonna be worth in 3 years, and that's how we back into what those lease rates are. So this is just a couple of the vehicles that are pretty common. These Subaru Crosstreks are really great admin vehicles that a lot of departments and entities have used. The Tacoma can be great, but really those top four, the Explorer, the Tahoe, F-150, and the diesels, those are really where we see a lot of the clients purchasing stuff. So for the diesels, we set the price at $7,500 a year. If you want it lower, we can make it lower. We like to keep that as the floor pricing, because at the end of the 3 years, you get all the money back that's gonna, when we sell the vehicle. So whatever the profit is, you get. So on that one, you know, we can go as low as about $3,800, and you'll still get about $200 or $2,000 back at the end of the 3 years. We just like to keep it a little bit higher, just to make sure you're getting some good money back. And so, but there is some wiggle room on them. The flip side is true too. If you have vehicles that, for whatever reason, someone's putting 25,000 miles a year, 30,000 miles a year on it, let us know. We'll calculate that out to make it so the lease payments are a little higher, just to make sure when that gets turned in at 3 years and it's 90,000 miles, that you're still getting a check back. So maybe instead of spending $8,500 a year on a Ford Explorer, maybe it bumps up to $12,000, just to make sure we get you some more money back. But all that money is just going to make sure that the payoff at the end of that 3rd year is lower. So if we charge more, we don't make any more. We make the same amount no matter what that lease rate is. So when we talk with municipalities, one of the big items we talk about is really this, with how the budgets work. We're talking to one sheriff's office right now, and we said, well, for the cost of one Tahoe, you can get 6 on lease per year, and if your budget's 60 grand a year, just keep running 6 new ones and cycle them every 3 years. And then you can avoid that giant maintenance budget that you're running every year. There's still gonna have to be insurance, obviously. If you total a car, you hit a deer, you know, we're gonna have to deal with those things. But the maintenance, you know, the transmissions, the engines, batteries, all that stuff, all gets eliminated under the warranty. The other piece on our plan, we say for 3 years, but if you just hate the unit or you want something new, or we come to you and say, look, you've got 12 diesels and you've got 8 grand of equity in each of them, and I've got 12 new ones for you, how about we do a swap? We can exit at any time. So if we want to get that money back on the used ones, maybe at 18 months we say, hey, let's swap vehicles. So you don't have to go all the way to 3 years. It can be at any point in time, and we work with you to swap vehicles whenever it makes sense for your team. If you have upfit, you know, lights, sirens, cages, probably not going to want to look at that 18-month time frame just because of the time of putting in all of that equipment. We like to keep that towards the 3 years. It works a bit better. So, and if you decide, look, we just want to hold on to these things, you just keep paying the last 2 payments. You paid it off. It's yours. Do whatever you want with it. So, when it comes time for liquidation, we work with you guys, and that would apply to like the vehicles you have out there if there are ones you needed to get rid of. We come, look at what the year, make, model, VIN, mileage is on it, and evaluate what the market's looking like. For some units, there's a lot of them out in the market. We're going to suggest that we go wholesale, and we're going to sell them off to a dealer and let them take care of it. If the days on lot are going to be, 120 days, we're going to let them take that. If you have some diesels or some Tahoes or something like that right now, those things will sell in 30 days. We'll give them to our retail partners and maximize how much money you guys can get back. But it's all up to you. We advise, you guys decide how you want to sell them. And again, all of the profit goes back to you guys. Also the upfit, we integrate that into the lease if people want. It's really a service we provide. We don't make money on doing this, but it helps out. So if somebody wants to have all their lights and sirens put in. We can have it all upfit, ready to go before you actually take the vehicle and start work on it. And we'll coordinate with anyone with upfitters throughout the Salt Lake Valley or anyone up north, anyone that you guys, if you have someone you love to work with, happy to coordinate with them. And we can bundle in that cost of the equipment into the lease as well over those 3 years. So the goal behind it is really to get this 1 hour turnaround. It's really a pain when you're sitting there waiting, you have vehicles down, waiting for the new equipment to get installed. Our goal is just to make it so it's easy for your team to get back to work and not have to sit around and wait for a vehicle. This is an example of some of the equipment we have. Every time we do an outfit, every department has their own specific stuff they love. So these are the basic components that are usually involved, but we can customize it out however you want. You want more equipment, it'll probably cost a bit more, less, obviously be a bit less. So. And the other piece, like I said in the beginning, if it's got treads or wheels, we'll do it. And so we do heavy equipment, so yellow iron. We will do UTVs and ATVs. They really don't lease great right now because the incentives aren't really there. Happy to do it though. And also the service body and the flatbeds. So really any equipment that's needed by the county, we'll be able to lease it. Most of our contracts are on annual payment. We can do whatever makes sense for the county though. If you want semi-annual or quarterly, we can drop to that. Again, no mileage restrictions on them because we set what the value is going to be at the end of each of those 3 years. If it sells for more, you get the money back. If for some reason you decide, well, we're just going to run this one into the ground, then we're just going to have to talk at the end of that. If it's got 60,000 miles at 2 years, well, it's not going to sell for that residual. And so we're going to have to true that up at that point. The only thing that ever holds up people sometimes is this resolution. Because it's a multi-year finance, we do have to have the commissioners sign off on a resolution to enter into it. It protects both of us just to make sure we're all on the same page. Yeah, you know you're financing these vehicles with us, and we're all on the same page with that. So any questions?
We never even considered leasing stuff for the sheriff's office because of the drilling holes and sticking things in. I guess you're good with all that now,
Yeah,
huh?
absolutely, yeah. Yep, we've worked with a lot of sheriff's offices. Obviously, we prefer the fewer holes the better, but and the only reason I said is just when we sell it in 3 years for you. You know, if you can get away with not having the light in the center in the column there, you know, that's a really difficult item to remove, and to sell it with the spotlight, they don't sell well. But we can price it out to work either way. So, but we work with a lot of sheriff's offices, you know, full patrol units, K9 units, you name it. So, yeah.
So the equipment, such as everything, the cages, the light bars and all that, we purchase that outright. That's not part of the lease, right?
Either way, if you want it, so different entities do it differently. Sometimes they want to pay cash for the equipment and they just want to deal with the upfit on their own. If they want to do that, we're happy for that. It's actually a whole lot easier for us and less headache. A lot of them, however, will order the equipment with the upfitter. We just get that bill of what that total cost is. We break it into the 3 years payments and we bundle that into the lease. So you're just basically paying 30% per year on that equipment. That's how the lease would increase. At the end of the 3 years, you own all that equipment and we can swap whatever will go to the next vehicle and whatever we can take from the old one, put it into the new one at the end of that 3 years for whatever we'll swap between them.
Do you do the work?
No.
I was gonna say, cause these guys are 6 months with it sitting in front of somebody's house,
Mm-hmm.
getting
Yeah.
that
Who do
done.
you guys use for outfit?
BLS, Vehicle Lighting Solutions.
They're right down by our office.
Yeah. So what we would probably do, we can't guarantee any results, obviously. What tends to work out well is we coordinate with the sheriff's office or whoever needs equipment. You know, we work with semi-service and others on the flatbeds and stuff as well. If we know what's coming down the pike, you want 12 new vehicles, we're talking to VLS, Premier, 5-Star, all of the guys that we know, getting bids on your equipment and then seeing who's going to have the best schedule to get it done. Depending on the type of equipment that you have, you know, it's a labor issue, it's also a parts supply issue. So depending on what you want, it may be VLS, we can get you in 2 months, the other guys not so much. But we try to coordinate it when we know the vehicle will be there and just try and push it as quick as we can to get it back out for you. But No guarantees we'll be faster than that, but so far we have been.
Yeah.